Hey guys, welcome back to another day of Vlogmas. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite book to movie adaptations. Now I want to give a huge shout out to, I believe it was Clumsy Piggy on Instagram, who gave me this idea. Realistically, some of these are book to miniseries adaptations, but I feel like it all is technically the same thing, so let's go ahead and just jump right in. Now I don't have an ultimate favorite book to movie adaptation, but when it comes to classic adaptations, I love, like 110% love, the 1999 Wives and Daughters miniseries. Now this miniseries stars Justine Waddell as Molly Gibson, and I have no fault with that casting. She will forever be my Molly Gibson, and because I actually watched this adaptation before reading the book, when I listen to the book or when I read the book, I picture her. I picture Justine Waddell as Molly Gibson. She was just perfect. I think the casting as a whole for this miniseries was just spot on, and in general this just feels like a very loyal adaptation of a beautiful, beautiful novel by, of course, Elizabeth Gaskell. I think the acting is great. I think the costumes and the settings are just absolutely gorgeous, but I think my personal favorite part of getting to see Wives and Daughters as a visual medium is getting to explore Hamley Hall a little bit. The grounds of Hamley Hall, while they are sort of described in the novel, because the novel is very much from Molly's point of view, you don't really get to see their grounds quite so much. So in the miniseries you obviously get to see Roger and his father touring the grounds, observing their workers, that sort of thing. I don't know, it makes me really want to go and like spend Christmas at Hamley Hall. I think that would be really beautiful. And as long as we're talking about adaptations of classic novels, I of course have to mention Pride and Prejudice. On one hand, I obviously love the 1995 adaptation with Colin Firth. I think this is beautiful. I think this is really, really true to the book too. So if you're one of those people that likes strict adaptations, I think this is obviously the way to go. It's also completely bingeable, and actually one of my favorite memories with my late grandmother, my late Yan Yan, was deciding to watch 1 or 2 episodes with her and then her insisting that we sit down and just finish the whole series, even though we both went to bed at like 2 in the morning, because it was just so good. However, I of course have to mention the 2005 Joe Wright adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, starring of course Keira Knightley. Number one, I think Keira Knightley as Lizzie Bennet just absolutely kills. It actually might be my favorite Keira Knightley role that I've seen her in so far. Also, no offense to Colin Firth, but I think I definitely prefer Matthew McFadyen as Darcy, but you know, personal preference. However, if I'm honest, I think the real reason I prefer the 2005 adaptation is because it's just so damn beautiful. The scenery is lush, the costumes are gorgeous, the people are gorgeous. Honestly, the soundtrack alone just like puts it leaps and bounds above the miniseries, and many an essay was written to the sound of that soundtrack. I feel like I have an unexpected Tolkien theme running throughout all of my Vlogmas videos, but we're just gonna go with it because my next favorite adaptation is the Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson. There are several reasons why I love this original trilogy of adaptations. Number one, of course, is the acting and the casting. I think it's all spot on. But two, I think this is something my brother and I talk about often when talking about Lord of the Rings, is that it's a really great example of how high fantasy was turned into film using CGI that somehow still looks pretty good today. I didn't write down the actual release date for the Fellowship of the Ring, but I believe I was in like 7th grade when they came out, because I remember one of my friends dressed up as Legolas and had like ears and everything for Halloween. However, I really do feel like the CGI here has withstood the test of time because Peter Jackson didn't rely overly on CGI. There was a lot of practical effects, a lot of prostheses, a lot of models going on, and I just think it's a really great example of how to take a very complicated concept and make it slightly timeless. I would also highly recommend that if you have somehow not watched the Lord of the Rings adaptations yet, please, please, please just watch the extended versions. There is so much more in there, like there's so much more detail, and as part of watching the extended versions, I would highly recommend, I know it's a lot because there are a lot of special features, but I would recommend taking the time to watch the special features because it's just amazing the detail and the dedication that went into creating these films the best way they could. Obviously, yes, there were some liberties taken. They had to leave some things out because Tolkien just jam-packs those books full of information, but generally speaking, I just think that it's a very well done, very true to the original adaptation. And if I absolutely had to pick a favorite of the 3 original trilogy adaptations, I would definitely say The Two Towers. I don't know, I know that Pelennor Fields is technically a grander battle when it comes to scale, but I just think Helm's Deep is like the best thing ever. I think it's so well shot. I love the whole construction of it. I love the whole Helm's Deep sequence. So good. I feel like coming off the heels of the first trilogy, this next one might be slightly controversial, but I'm gonna share it anyways, and that is The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. Now, I'm gonna be the first person to say that I was not a huge fan of this trilogy, like, in general. I think the last film's really good, and I was not a fan of the second film. I also was not a fan of the addition of Tauriel, the female elf. I mean, I understand why she was in there because the modern audience expects to see some female characters on screen, yada yada yada. I thought adding Legolas in was fine to kind of tie the worlds together, but I did not think the she-elf was necessary. Anyways, I really love An Unexpected Journey because I love getting to be in Bilbo's world. I love getting introduced to the dwarves, and I love getting to just be in Hobbiton. Again, when it comes to the interest in really mining the source material for these little details that they can put into character design and character relationships and dialogue, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous film. And if you decide that, you know, the rest of the trilogy is not for you, that's totally fair, I get it, but I just think you can't go wrong with this. Also, does anybody else get chills every single time Thorin starts singing Far Over the Misty Mountains? No? Just me? And the last book to movie adaptation that I really love and have rewatched several times might be a bit of a surprise to you guys, but that is the 2012 adaptation of The Hunger Games, directed by Gary Ross. You might find that surprising given that I never really talk about YA fiction here on the channel, or kind of dystopian anything for that matter, but this was a series that I picked up right when I first joined the booktube community and was really, really sucked into. I really like that the filmmakers decided to lean into the kind of darker, grittier aspects of The Hunger Games. I like how they kind of use that to set the tone for the film. I really like the aesthetic of it as well, and how it's a lot less like flashy and overproduced than a lot of dystopian adventure-based YA adaptations. Again, the aesthetic of it really appealed to me. I thought it was a pretty good adaptation, and I should probably, now that I'm thinking about it, go on and see the other two films as well. So those are my favorite book to movie adaptations, and I would love to know what you guys think of them if you have seen them as well. Is one of these your favorite? Did you actually really hate one of these and you think I got it totally wrong? Let me know in a comment down below. It also might be interesting if you decided to share your favorite adaptation with me in a comment as well, but otherwise that is all I have for today's video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!